Hello everybody, it's me, Minecraft here, and welcome back. 21W44A has some bugs. Correction, 21W44A has a lot of bugs, like tons of them. And some of them are actually really useful. Today we're going to take a look at the best ones. If you're new here or you watch the videos all the time, consider subscribing. Just check the stats and only like 40% of you are subscribed. If you subscribe, great things will happen to you and your family will be blessed with good luck for 7,000 years. That's pretty amazing. Consider it. Some of the bugs we're going to take a look at today are pretty big and pretty useful. This one is not. We start small with this thing right here. What do you call it? Stone islands in the lava maybe? I'm really not too sure. But it's really strange. To be honest, I'm not really sure if this would be considered a bug or not. When I checked the bug tracker, couldn't really find anything on it, at least from the parts that I looked, but it's really strange. There are stone blocks floating one block above the lava aquifer. If we flip into spectator, get down by the lava, we can see that they don't actually go down into the lava at all. They're just like floating here. It almost looks like to me they were following some sort of land formation or something, like going out this way and then curving back or something. But then nothing happened. This is a giant mineshaft though. I've been looking around down low deep in this world for a while now, trying to see if I can confirm that this is a bug or not. If it happens in multiple spots, I would say it's a bug. If it happens in one spot, maybe it's just strange generation. Haven't been able to really find it happening anywhere else though. But to be fair, it might just be because I can't find any other big sized lava aquifers like that one where it happened. These are like the biggest ones that I've been able to find aside from that huge one. Decently, even mildly interesting, for sure. But moving on, next bug. This next bug is the very first thing that I noticed as soon as I upgraded this world from 1.17.1 to 21W44A. Look at the caves down here in the negative Y range. They are caves, they exist, which is cool, but they're not right. We all know this by now, it's no surprise to anyone. In Minecraft 1.17, Deep Slate became the undisputed king block of the game. Best block in the game by far, best block family too, it's amazing. In 1.18, the caves get deeper, bedrock gets moved down. The deeper caves are meant to be made out of deep slate everywhere. It's really amazing, truly. And these caves are all made out of stone. Deep slate is where the bedrock used to be. That all used to be bedrock in 1.17. And this is all stone. Now, this creates, interesting looking caves. These caves sort of feel like the OG caves, like the caves before granite and all of those things were added to the game, because it's just like basically stone everywhere. Well, stone, tuff, and gravel. Also, look, I found another floating block. We'll put that with the last one. This is the spot that it's at. So weird. Yep, that's right. This is one of the biggest parts of the latest snapshot, upgrading the old chunks, putting caves inside of them. It's actually pretty cool. However, the snapshot had one job, and it got it all wrong. Failing miserably, in fact. Okay, you know what? I take that back. That sounded like extremely harsh. So this bug is really just aesthetically interesting. It doesn't really give you any benefits or anything. I guess it's faster to dig out down here, which is cool, but yeah, that's basically it. Once you move into a chunk that wasn't loaded in before, like it got loaded in for the first time in 1.18, everything's back to normal. This creates some pretty interesting looking harsh borders. We have deep slate all over the place right there, and then harsh border turns to stone. Of course, this entire cave system down here basically is all meant to be deep slate. Aside from being able to dig out this new deep and maybe a little bit quicker, stone mines faster than deep slate after all, the only other benefit that I can see with all of this is maybe being able to spot iron ore veins a little bit quicker. These iron ore veins are made up of three things: tuff, iron ore, and raw iron. If you have these super bland looking caves like this one right here, specifically without biomes, it definitely helps a lot more. The tuff stands out a lot, and it becomes insanely easy to notice when there's like an absurd amount of tuff, and of course iron as well, especially if it's all deep slate iron. Like, this couldn't be any more obvious. One final thing that I'd like to say about this whole deep stone thing before we move on, this makes it like really clear, abundantly clear, how much the lowest caves are actually just really basically all deep slate. I mean, it's not a problem, but it's just kind of interesting. Didn't realize it. Just like that iron ore vein that we were talking about a second ago, this next bug is a bug we talked about initially in the snapshot showcase video. The ceilings are really flat in the upgraded chunks. Will the developers be able to do the impossible and fix this? I don't know. And honestly, I don't know how big of a deal it is. It seems like the game is doing something kind of complex here. It's coming into the old chunks, replacing all of the bedrock with deep slate. Then the game would have to go back and carve out the deep slate. And yeah, I don't know. It seems like it might cause like a lot of lag, at least initially. And it might be kind of complex to do. I mean, after all, if all of these caves were just deep slate, it's way more important that these caves are actually existing down here instead of being like solid bedrock from there all the way to negative 64 or something like that. Also, it would be less insanely obvious if all of the caves were deep slate down here like they were meant to be. This next bug is weird. It's really weird. I actually made a whole video talking about this bug, so we're not going to talk about it too much on this one. Card on screen right now to the video I posted a couple days ago. Basically, if you upgrade a chunk from any version that isn't 1.18 to 1.18 in the latest snapshot, look at this. Down here at Y negative 64, no bedrock at all, which means you could dig yourself all the way down into the void. You can't build under here, so that's not going to work, but yeah, you could actually fall into the void. Exciting. There's actually a lot more to it. It also happens in some other biomes too, like the Badlands. Very weird. Next bug. This is the big one, potentially insanely useful. So under the ground, in a chunk that you've upgraded before, if you had a structure, like let's say a mine shaft, and then you upgrade the chunk, the mine shaft will duplicate. So up here, we have a mine shaft right there. If we go straight down, like literally from that spot, we have another mine shaft. Now, the mine shafts look pretty much identical to me. I've tested this out a couple times. There are some differences, like straight down from here, we have planks instead of stone. Same thing over there, planks instead of stone. That's going to be because the mine shaft is hanging down there, though. This is potentially huge. Double the structures, double the loot, double the loot, double the profit. It's all easy. Now, if we take a look at some of the more fine details of these structures, like, for example, I don't know, the cobwebs right here, we have 1, and then we have 3, and then we have 2 diagonally off of that. Looking down there, the cobwebs look to be exactly the same. There's a spawner down there over there. Up here, there's a spawner right there. But everything isn't like literally exactly identical. I have noticed the rails can be placed in different spots sometimes, and the spawner itself, there's the same spawner hallway, but the spawner is definitely not in the same spot at all. On the top one, the spawner's at the back of the hall. On the bottom one, the spawner's at the front of the hall. You might be thinking right now, well, that's cool. That's very interesting, but maybe it's just a one-off thing. Well, no, definitely not a one-off thing. It happened again. Right here, completely separate mine shaft, very close, but separate. Spawner up top, spawner down low, mine shaft up top, mine shaft down low. It's actually pretty sweet. Like I said, double the structures, potentially double the loot. So loot right here that was generated in 1.17. That's pretty cool. What about right below? Right below here, do we have loot? Well, actually, no. However, the loot is really close, actually. Instead of being straight down from here, we have a loot chest over here. Will it be the same this time? I don't know. I haven't seen it. Nope. Not the same. Hi, it's me, my editor here. I'm coming back in because I didn't make this very clear. The loot isn't the same because it wasn't the exact same chest. I don't know why there wasn't a mineshaft chest directly below it. There should be. You'll see a little bit later on, but yeah. I'll talk about loot a little bit more later on. But this right here is a perfect example of how there will definitely be some differences between the mineshafts. So down there, the mineshaft generated in a big open area. Up here, it's in a closed area. It's going to look completely different, but the shaping seems to be identical. We have the double rail section right there, double rail section straight down there. So it's really cool. Mineshafts are duplicating. Does it translate over to like something cool like a dungeon? Could you have dungeons directly above each other, link them up for a farm? Unfortunately, no. Dungeons don't seem to work like this, probably because they're generated completely differently. Related to this whole structure duplication bug, but not the same thing. Do you notice anything strange here? I don't know if this is a bug or what. Like, this is the only time I could find it happening like this, but this mineshaft is this is the biggest mineshaft that I have ever seen, and I don't know what's going on here. This is the only mineshaft that I was able to find that has not duplicated down low, and it's big. It's like kind of massive. It's like the biggest thing that I've seen of all time, and I've seen so many things. It's weird. Structure duplication. I think I found another exception, and that has to do with what chunks were loaded in. If you have a mineshaft or structure generating near a chunk that wasn't loaded in 1.17, then you update the world, it won't necessarily duplicate straight below itself. Mineshafts are pretty sweet. Duplicating them is nice. You can find more loot, more spawners. This is cool, but what about something else? Maybe something a little bit better, like the Stronghold. Will the Stronghold duplicate? Well, sad news. I've been doing some testing on Strongholds. We'll check out some more in a different world too. It doesn't seem like the Strongholds follow this whole duplication rule. Strongholds are one thing that would have been really cool to have duplicated, like one above the other. Dual end portals, really interesting, but yep, doesn't seem to really work like that. It's kind of sad. Another thing that I have noticed though, geodes. Geodes seem to line up pretty close too. Now they're definitely not identical, like those two are very different and these two are pretty different, but they're lining up like suspiciously almost perfectly. Those two are just two though, right? So if we move over here, we have a geode up top and then pretty much just straight down, a little bit diagonal, but pretty much right below it, another geode. Over here, pretty much the same thing, geode up top, geode down low. This is a glitch. The geode generated in the wrong spot, got cut in half. And here are some more mineshafts that cloned perfectly. Strongholds don't seem to clone, but mineshafts, yep, they definitely do. Geodes are also consistently generating pretty strangely, like almost perfectly in line with each other. I don't know if that's meant to work like that or what. But what about other things that you can find under the ground? Like, for example, this ruined portal. I found this under the ground in 1.17.1. Does it duplicate in 1.18? Yep, it duplicates too. So they duplicate. How about the loot? The loot is exactly the same. When I found that one out, I thought revolutionary, so I went back to the mineshaft to check the loot again. And sure enough, I found that if the chests are identically, perfectly, exactly lined up, the loot is the same every time too. For some reason, it all seems to duplicate. The structures are the same, and the loot is the same too, if it all lines up. So here's another example. There was a mineshaft up top, mineshaft down low, and the loot is the same. And that got me thinking. That got me wondering about Strongholds. Was it maybe just a one-off thing and the Stronghold didn't duplicate in that one instance? So I tested it more. I made another world in 1.17.1 and went around that world. Found a couple different Strongholds. This is one of the Strongholds that I found right here. Didn't duplicate. The mineshaft in the back did though. The next Stronghold that I found is in a completely different spot, and unfortunately, same exact result. Did not duplicate. There is a great number though, so I figured try one more time. Maybe we'll see if it duplicates. It didn't, but I did find this really cool room. It's a Stronghold room inside of the geode. That's kind of really cool. This is definitely one of the biggest bugs in the current snapshot. If you have a world existing 1.17 and you update it to 1.18, you can almost guarantee for sure that if you knew where a mineshaft was, dig straight down from that mineshaft, and you'll find a new one that freshly generated with brand new loot. The same loot, but new. It's kind of interesting. Another minor bug, but definitely still a bug that I was able to find in the snapshot. This one had me excited at first. I thought, whoa, no way. They actually recolored the watercolor under the ground. No, actually they did not. The biomes are just messed up under the ground. We're in a swamp right now. If we move straight up from here, eventually we're going to be in the lush caves right there, move back down, and we're back in the swamp. The biomes are just messed up right now. And by the way, there is no swamp above us. On the surface, it's a forest or a flower forest. I've seen a couple questions about it. Did the developers work on biome blending in the latest snapshot? I'm not too sure. Kind of doesn't really look like it though. Looks just like it looked before. Definitely not a bug if the devs just didn't work on it in the snapshot, but blending between the biomes, it still seems as harsh as it was before, and it still seems to be a little bit strange sometimes. Here's a village that I created or ruined, depending on how you look at it though. House cleanly cut in half, and this is really glitched right here. House is floating on the path block. That never happens. Over here, path cut in half too. Then the path is floating. How did the villagers create that? Well, they didn't. And also, all the paths are on stone over here too. That's pretty strange looking. Weird floating. Actually, a tower. And then ruined. And I almost flew away without saying that it's completely flooded over here too. What kind of monster would have done this? This is a bug I actually didn't find on my own. I found this on the bug tracker. It has to do with the floating islands world type and the cave world type. So let's say we're going to make a floating island world that is the flower forest. This sounds so peaceful. Really nice. We'll go ahead and make it. We're going to make this world in the latest snapshot, by the way. Like, you don't have to upgrade it or anything like that. Just a snapshot. Load the world, and this is the flower forest biome, apparently. If we check the screen, yeah, definitely the flower forest, 100%. I just don't see very many flowers anywhere. And I feel like more lava than I should, right? I mean, maybe the lava could be the flower forest. So the floating island world type is obviously based off of the end. The end is entirely made out of floating islands. And yeah, that just creeps into the floating island worlds. Even if you try and create a custom biome one, it's the end. And unfortunately, that's actually going to be the same for the cave world type too. The cave worlds are really interesting. If we were to try and make a Badlands cave world, disappointment, sheer disappointment, misery, unhappiness, terribleness. There's caves everywhere, and it's very cool, dark, moody. It's a vibe for sure, but there is no terracotta at all anywhere. This is all just a cave. Has a huge mineshaft and a huge body of water, but it is all literally just a cave. Now on this one, I'm not too sure. On the bug tracker, it said all cave worlds were just the nether, but for me, they all just seem to be caves. I don't know if that's how it's meant to work or what. I feel like there definitely should be at least a little bit of terracotta in some of this world. In the video talking about the bedrock bug that the nether had in the last snapshot, on top of these cave worlds, it was all just netherrack. Now it's all bedrock again. I'm not too sure. To be honest, I don't really make these cave worlds all the time, so I'm really not too familiar with them. But one thing that I did notice is gold. There's a lot of gold in here, so that makes sense for the Badlands. And then also the mine shafts in here, Badlands mine shaft. And then I did find this weird netherrack on the ceiling. If I go up through the netherrack, I'll find nothing. It just goes straight up to the ceiling. At first, I thought it would be the bottom of like a ruined portal or something, but nope. Definitely just solid netherrack up there, so kind of weird. The latest snapshot has bugs. A lot of them. I mean, really, it's not that big of a deal. The devs will most likely just patch most of these things out of the game by the next snapshot, but some of them are potentially really interesting, and this is kind of a lot of bugs for an update that is already an account on Twitter, on the Minecraft account. Anyways, that's it for today. Patreon gang, big thank you. Tanner B, Fateful Grimoire, Sortiri. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you found another really interesting bug, throw it down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.